I'll be talking about two innovative technologies in Bangladesh. But before that, I'd like to give some contextual factors about technology adoption, technology innovation in general in Bangladesh, in the Bangladesh context. So first, there are some drivers of agriculture technology in Bangladesh. And here I want to talk about Bangladesh is really bestowed with very good soil, fertile soil in the Gangetic Plain, good irrigation coverage, about 80% of irrigation coverage, and high rainfall. Then good network of rural roads that facilitate market access to farmers, and enabling policies. It's very important. Bangladesh, I would say, among developing countries, probably a unique country where policies work, and I will explain a little bit later why. Now, let's see. There are some good achievements in technology front. Rice production tripled in 40 years. This is probably the greatest achievement Bangladesh has made, and also highest maize yields in Asia in only about 4 or 5 years because of policies mainly. There are some constraints, and I will talk about only the most, binding constraint is the landlessness. 60% of rural population is landless in Bangladesh, and the tenurial arrangements. And then I will give this two examples of technology. One is biofortified zinc rice, which was released only in August, and urea placement fertilizer technology in the southern part of Bangladesh. Oops. Okay. Okay. Now, Bangladesh is the most favored area in South and East Asia and the Pacific region. And this is based on an IFPRI study done by John Pender, and it's a IFAD joint study. And you see, this favored here means irrigated or humid or sub-humid with favorable terrain and market access. So it combines market access also, which, as I said, rural roads and infrastructure. So combining those factors, Bangladesh, 76% of rural area is favored. And the next most favored country in South and East Asia Pacific region is India, but only less than half of Bangladesh, and then Thailand. Okay, so I compared these three countries. Bangladesh, what are the other, less favored components? So here you see that 76% is favored in Bangladesh. So, and the 26% is, 14% is poor access, but otherwise favorable. And 10% is irrigated, non-irrigated unfavorable terrain, that is upland and mountains. Bangladesh is mostly plain country, but there are some hilly areas also. And you see, compared to Bangladesh, the other, the next two countries, India and Thailand, those factors, that is less favored factors, are shown here. Okay, shall I move? Now, about achievements, technological achievements. Rice production has tripled in Bangladesh since the liberation of the country in 1971. During that time, population of Bangladesh was 75 million, and Bangladesh used to depend heavily on food aid. About 2 million tons on average food aid used to come to Bangladesh. Today, population doubled. It's actually 160 million, not 150. And the country is almost self-sufficient in rice production. So this is a tremendous achievement, and it happened due to technology. That's in my next slide. Growth rates of area, yields, and production of rice. In the past 10 years, annual growth rate of rice production was 3.1%, more than double the growth rate of population. And 84% of that growth came from yield increases, and only 16% from area expansion. So here you see the contribution of this green revolution technology, basically, what it did in Bangladesh. The constraints in Bangladesh, as I said, 60% of rural households are landless, and the tenural arrangement is the main constraint. According to we did a survey recently in Bangladesh, which means IFPRI. It was a national representative survey. We found that 1/3 of the farmers, they do not own any land of their own. So they have to share half of their produce. They have to give half of their produce to landowners, and landowners, they do not share any inputs or any irrigation cost. So you can imagine this 1/3 of all farmers, they are landless, and their profitability from agriculture is very low because of this peculiar tenural arrangement in the country. So that's the backdrop. But before coming to this key constants, there are two other achievements. One is technological achievement. As I said, maize production. Bangladesh has the highest maize yield in Asia, and that is because of policy mainly. There are crops which are called notified crops, like rice, sugarcane, jute, potatoes. These crops, private sector cannot really import seeds from outside. I mean, there are lots of rules and regulations, but maize is not one of those notified crops. So what happened, demand was created by the poultry industry, and that poultry industry demand was created by rapid urbanization and increasing income of people. So because of that, this maize production increased due to this demand created by the poultry industry as a feed, and private sector, they imported seeds from many countries, including Syngenta in USA and other countries, and that made the miracle, highest yield in about 4 or 5 years in Asia. Amazing. Another example is BT brinjal, which was just released only last week, but that you can tell maybe Joshi. I mean, India has not released that yet, right? Okay, now, so I am talking about the first technology, which is biofortified zinc rice, and this is a new technology. Bangladesh is the first country in the world that developed this biologically fortified zinc rice, which is called BRRI, Dhan means rice, 62. And this was developed by the Bangladesh Rice Research Institute together with CGIAR Harvest Plus Center, which is IFPRI is one of the IFPRI institutions. So in August 2013, the National Seed Board of Government of Bangladesh released this biofortified zinc rice. So it contains 19 milligram of zinc in 1 kilogram of rice, which is about 3 times the normal zinc content in rice. And also it contains about double the protein in rice. So these varieties developed through crossbreeding of 3 local varieties, which are high zinc content varieties. It's called Kalo Shai, Jira Katari, and Lakshi Digha. And they are crossbred with BRRI Dhan 39, which is a high yielding and short duration variety. So this is the shortest duration variety, this zinc rice, during this grown during this almond rice, which is the rain-fed rice season. Okay, now we have developed this, but how to I mean, make it usable by the farmers and also by the consumers. Okay, but before that, what are the benefits of this zinc rice? We know that zinc micronutrient deficiency, one of the main macronutrients is zinc. Zinc, iron, and vitamin A, these are the three main macronutrients, and the deficiency of all three macronutrients is quite high in Bangladesh. So zinc rice can fight diarrhea and pneumonia-induced childhood deaths and stunting. 44% of children under 5 are at risk of zinc deficiency in Bangladesh. And rice is an excellent vehicle for biofortification with zinc, in the sense that the entire population eats it. So that is another advantage. Like iodized salt, everybody eats salt, you know. So that vehicle is also important. Potential delivery strategies for zinc rice. As I said, okay, now the scientists have developed it, but how to promote it? Here I would suggest two ways to promote. One is through the push factor and a pull factor. The push factor is using the zinc rice in the farming system, particularly in the major procurement zones of public food distribution system. Bangladesh has a very good network of public food distribution system. The government buys food from the farmers to give them incentive, price incentive, and the government distributes the food mainly through safety net channels targeted to the poor. Okay, so I think, you know, to promote this, at least initially, public food distribution system can play a good, important role. That is, ensure adequate supply of biofortified seed in the market, of course, and motivate farmers to adopt the production of biofortified crops. Use the demand-oriented pull strategy that is created by the zinc rice. As I said, this government has this PFDS. One is they give the price support and also use this stock to, I mean, for targeted safety net programs. So PFDS targets the poor through food-based safety net programs as outlets, and zinc rice is well-targeted safety nets to, you know, we can use this in the program. Particularly, I think there are two programs which are universal programs in Bangladesh. One is called Vulnerable Group Development Program for the ultra-poor women. And also Bangladesh has a school feeding program, a national program, but that school feeding program currently is only for primary schools. What we would suggest that use this zinc fortified rice in secondary girls schools. Bangladesh doesn't have in rural areas co-education, girls, boys co-education. So targeting is simple. Target the secondary girls school, and these are adolescent girls. As I said, 44% of children are zinc deficient, but 60%, more than 60% girls, adolescent girls are zinc deficient. And they are the future mothers. Okay, so it can actually prevent this low birth weight child. And if we can use this, you know, micronutrient fortified food and distribute it in the school for the secondary girls. So just an idea. Okay, and of course, through that process, it can also empower rural women through education. Now, the second technology is the urea fertilizer application, that is deep placement of urea fertilizer. In Bangladesh, the main nitrogen fertilizer application method in rice cultivation is hand broadcasted urea. Okay? But this surface application process contributes to losses from ammonia volatilization, denitrification, and runoff, leading to the extremely low, that is only 35% efficiency factor in crop uptake of nitrogen. Only 35% of nitrogen is actually used by the crop. From an environmental perspective, many of the nitrogen compounds that are released by this process disrupt the natural ecosystems, impair water quality, and contribute to global warming. So this is also climate friendly technology. So this is this urea deep placement technology. It has several benefits. Field trials showed that it improved yields by about 18%, and also it reduces fertilizer need for fertilizer. About 1/3 less fertilizer is needed if you use this technology. And also, it's a low-cost technology, and it's extremely well suited to small-scale rice farmers in Bangladesh. Now, this is how this it's called briquette urea is produced from prilled urea. Very simple technology. This briquette urea is put into this machine which has rollers, and then it produces this briquette urea. So this is a picture of this prilled urea and briquette urea. Now this urea needs to be applied. Now actually most of the farmers, particularly small farmers, they use their two fingers to put this briquette urea into the soil, but it causes problem, back problem, also some infection in the fingers and things like that. So these two types of applicators have been developed, very low level technology. Now the injector type applicator on the left, that is most popular now. The other one, single row applicator, is costly and also not really very popular. So this is showing that the farmer is using this injector type applicator. Now this one requirement of this deep placement urea fertilizer, that it has to be line sowed, and then spacing 9 inches, surrounding each. So those are quite restrictive. That's why not many farmers are actually using this technology. And the other problem is, of course, it requires more labor. So interestingly, we are doing a study actually now. We are doing a survey on the adoption rate of this deep placement urea fertilizer, and our initial field observation, it shows that actually very small farmers, they use it more than bigger farmers, because larger farmers, they have to hire a lot of labor to do that, but small farmers, they do it by hand. They don't even use this applicator. So this is the hand application of this briquette urea. So here, and this is, we took these photographs during our field visit. This is a lady, her name is Dolly Begum, and she is an entrepreneur. She produces this briquette urea. She buys this prilled urea from about 18 miles from her village, and then she brings it. She bought this machine. It cost about 48,000 taka, which is about $600, but she could not get a bank loan. And that is, a very critical constraint in Bangladesh, not only for this type of enterprise, but also for farming. Small farmers, they do not have good access to institutional credit, okay? But in this case, she sold her 2 cows, and then she bought this machine. And you can see that signboard in Bangla, it says that this owner of this machine and the shop is Dolly Begum. Okay, and this is a farmer, an early adopter of urea displacement technology. His name is Kamrul Hassan, and we interviewed him during our survey. And he's a landless farmer, one of those, 31% landless pure tenant farmers. Okay, he doesn't own any land, but he cultivates about 3 acres of land, rented or leased, share crop land. And so he was the first man in his village to use this UDP technology. And he said that when I used Guti urea, Guti means briquette, for the first time I got 4 months or 160 kg extra yields per 1/3 of an acre with almost half the fertilizer cost. But he also says that the landowner does not share any cost, not even irrigation cost. So that's, I think that's my last slide. Thank you.